So I'm on a Ducati 848, let's get my words out, 848 Streetfighter. This is effectively the 848 Evo sport bike, just with all the fairings removed and some wide bars. But same chassis, same engine. I think it's in a slightly different state of tune, more for street use. It's not a very upright position for a street bike, it's still a little bit further forward. Makes a great noise though. Again, these are the stock pipes. I have to say, it looks amazing. As far as naked bikes go, it's a little bit busy, I guess. There's quite a lot going on. It's very angular. There's lots of angles and swooshy bits going on everywhere. But I kind of like that. I kind of like the aggressive look of it. Obviously, wind protection isn't great on a naked, but then who cares? You know, you don't buy a naked bike for wind protection. But to be honest, at this sort of speed, it's actually fine. It's perfectly rideable. You can still feel the vibration of the engine, but it's not sort of getting transmitted through the feet and through the hands much. You just feel it in your bum more than anything. The Ducati noise is growing on me. Like, at low speed, they just sound a bit tractor-like, I reckon, a bit clunky and thumpy. But once you actually rev them out a little bit, I think they sound quite nice. It's just something a bit different, isn't it? Like, compared to all the typical sort of Japanese inline fours, parallel twins and stuff, it's got a little bit more character. And again, like for a stock bike, it's got some loud pipes, which is quite nice because most bikes these days sound absolutely pants. It's quite a tall bike actually, so it's a bit of a stretch to the floor when you put your feet down. So smaller riders might struggle a little bit with that. But other than that, the ergonomics seem pretty decent. Like, as far as sport bikes go, like your knees and your legs are kind of in the right place. It's quite a narrow seat down by your groin, so it's quite easy to get your legs sort of tucked into the tank. And the bars are a decent width. They're not too wide, but wide enough that it gives you a good bit of leverage. But it still makes it feel quite like a sport bike effectively. But yeah, just cruising along at sort of 20 miles an hour is probably not where this bike is at its best, to be honest. Right there, sort of cruising along 30 miles an hour, second gear, it's a little bit choppy on the throttle. It's great fun though. Makes a great noise. Below 4,000 it's a little bit choppy. Doesn't like just sort of to be just held at sort of 3,500 revs in second gear. It's a little bit choppy. I use that word a lot. I should probably find a different word. I wouldn't say this is a particularly good beginner bike. I'd actually say that the 899 is probably actually easier to ride than this. Just easier to modulate the throttle, easier on the brakes, it's a lot more stable through the corners. But yeah, different sort of bike completely really. This is all very pretty. Must admit, I don't actually know that much about this bike. I didn't really do a lot of research on it. So I'd love to give you all the tech specs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I didn't do my homework. It's a bit of an impromptu ride really, so but then, you know, Google, just use Google if you want to find out about it. It feels, I don't know, it feels probably about 170 something kilos maybe, probably about 125 horsepower, something like that. And that's just a wild stab in the dark, but that's kind of what it feels like sat here. Oh, it's a little animal. Traction control's cutting in. Yeah, fun little bike this, it's very nice. It's nice to ride a naked street bike that's got, you know, that is actually a converted sport bike. You know, not just designed specifically as a naked bike. You know, it feels like this used to be a sport bike in a previous life. And I like that. Again, I know I'll keep going on about it, but this choppy throttle thing really is getting quite annoying. You just can't hold it at 4,000 revs, it's just lurching back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. Here we go, look. Oh. That's a little bit annoying, that kind of loses a few points there I think as an everyday usable bike, just because of the dodgy fueling. It means you basically have to sort of ride around at 4,500, 5,000 revs. Even there, to be honest, it's not great. So, there's many things I like about this bike. I love the way it looks. I love the noise it makes. Seems to handle very well as well, although I've not really pushed it, to be honest. But it seems to fall into corners and stay planted through the corner. It's just, the seat is really hard. I mean, I've only been in this thing about 40 minutes and already I can feel that this is not going to be a comfortable bike for sitting in for hours. And again, just, you know, that coupled with the fact that the throttle is difficult to modulate. Yeah, it's not the sort of bike I could see myself living with every day. You know, quick blast at the weekend, I'd love it. But if I had to live with this thing every day, ride it to work, you know, I think it would annoy me pretty quickly, to be honest. It does seem to be a bit of a thing with V-twins, I've noticed. The fueling does always seem to be a bit of a problem. Right, I've got to watch out here because there's sometimes a policeman parked in this little bush. Not today. It's certainly quick. It's deceptively quick, actually. I'm not even going full throttle really, but it does get up to speed very quickly. The low down torque is actually quite impressive. I guess they probably have retuned it a little, rejigged it a little bit compared to the old 848 sport bike, so it's probably got a little bit less top end and maybe a little bit more low down torque. Oh, look at that land. Look, it's a land, lovely. So yeah, I mean, I do love the engine, it's just the fueling which isn't perfect really. That's the only thing that kind of annoys me at the moment about this engine. But I love the power delivery, I love the noise, I love the feeling that you gets transmitted through the whole bike when you do gun it. Again, it's a very visceral experience riding a Ducati. Yeah, this bike only seems to be happy when going quickly. Which is fine if you want to go quickly, but you know, if you just want to go down the shops or something, it's a bit annoying. So yeah, if you want a bike that's a bit crazy, if you kind of like a bike that you can just ride everywhere with the throttle pinned wide open doing wheelies everywhere, then this is perfect, you'll love it. But if you want a naked bike that's comfortable, works well in town and in traffic. I mean, it'll do it, but there's probably other alternatives. Although I'll have to say probably less exciting alternatives. But then there's always going to be a compromise with whichever type of bike you buy, really. And I think as long as you're okay with the little imperfections that this thing has, like the hard seat, the quite stiff ride, and dodgy fueling at lower revs, if you can put up with that, it's a cracking bike. To be honest, you'll put up with all that stuff because of that noise. That's the thing with Ducatis is down low, when you rev them a little bit, they sound a bit rough, but when you actually properly rev them out, they start to sound really nice. It just kind of makes you want to ride them quickly all the time, just so you can hear that lovely noise. Brakes are fantastic, actually. Again, not too grabby. You can sort of grab a handful of them and they do sort of pull you up. And the back brake feels a bit dead, to be honest. I mean, it works, but you don't really get any sort of feel or feedback from it, really. But there are not many back brakes you do, to be honest. So yeah, it's actually fairly easy to get on with. If you're an experienced rider, you'll get on with it, no problem. I think if you're not a very experienced rider, you'll probably stall it quite a lot. Like pulling away, I've stalled it a couple of times in the car park just because the clutch bite point is really low, high, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit twitchy generally, this bike, so in a good way, in the way it makes it very agile and a lot of fun. But yeah, for a new rider, you might take a little bit of time to get up to speed on this thing. I think it's only one for a slightly more experienced rider, I think, this thing. Oh, choppy throttle again. Just that was actually mid-corner there, and it was just chopping out around the corner. That's just a traction control cutting in then, though. That wasn't actually just bad fueling. That was. It's just kind of the problem I have with traction control is, like around that corner then, I know that's a bumpy corner, and I knew that the bike would probably skip around a little bit on that corner, but then the traction control decided that it knew better and decided to cut the power, and it just kind of unsettled me a little bit. It's a good thing, traction control, don't get me wrong, it serves its purpose, but I'm not always a massive fan of it on situations like that where you kind of know what the bike's going to do and you know it's going to skip about a bit. I don't like it when the bike just intervenes. You can turn that off anyway, so no big deal. But again, it's all stuff that you pay extra for, and if you don't really use it, yeah, again it's just more stuff that you're paying for that you're not going to use. I'm stuck in 5th gear now, just pulling along, plenty of torque. It's kind of a weekend toy, this bike. I don't think it's the sort of bike I could live with every day. Don't get me wrong, if someone gave me one, I'd love it. But I think probably there's other bikes, other naked bikes I'd probably prefer, but then maybe that's just me getting old, because this just feels a little bit too extreme for everyday use, to be honest. And I think that throttle would get on my nerves a little bit after a while. If you just want an aggressive weekend weapon, it's fantastic. And it does feel a little bit special. So, I hope you enjoyed today. I had a lot of fun doing this. So, hope you enjoyed the video.